Welcome to TeamSpeak, advanced voice communication software for any platform. TeamSpeak allows groups of people to communicate and share information with anyone, via the internet or through private networks. Using your Windows, Mac or Linux-based computer, all you need is a headset with microphone, and in minutes you can be chatting with others in real time, using our crystal clear voice technology.
And here we are, game one of the grand finals for the TeamSpeak TeamLiquid.net Open number 15, and a game that will have major implications on who will make it into those final spots for the TSL 3. This is the 8th qualifier for the competition, and there already are some amazing players in that competition. This was just another opportunity for great players to rise to the top, to be able to battle with some of the best, and it will all come down to this. Our starting map is going to be Xel'Naga Caverns, and Chill, give us our starting locations.
All right, well, it's a two-player map, so they're obviously going to know where each other is. Spawning in the top right as the blue Terran. Yeah, what? Mental map hack. As a blue Terran is Baz, but that's kind of wearing his mask because we know him as McLeod. In the bottom left is mouz.HasuObs, aka mouz.HasuObs. And one thing I just want to point out here, a lot of people in the chat saying HasuObs, an undeniable favorite. I don't think anyone can kind of argue with that, but we have seen, specifically in the TL Open finals and semifinals, a lot of big names and a lot of people who look to be the clear favorite actually fall. So I don't think this is a foregone conclusion in any sense.
Yeah, and let's just point out some things that we've seen early on that I actually really like. Now, Baz sent one SCV out at the cost of a little bit of mining time to check the lower area of his base, just south of where his command center is. He checked around the mineral lines over near his natural expansion, and then he eventually made his way back in. Now, based off of all the play that we've seen out of Hasu so far, he does not seem like he's necessarily wanting to play games where he is forcing any early aggression out of himself. He seems to like that mid-game timing that will give him an advantage, and then he can win it, you know, whether that's shortly thereafter or into the late game. That's worked for him in every series that we've seen so far here. So, you know, while it's just kind of humorous that he's checking for these, you know, hidden pylons and stuff, because I'm not even sure that that is a strategy that HasuObs is considering at all.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Although there is something where Protoss players will drop their second pylon back there just so later on they can use make use of the working mechanic. But I don't think it's you know, on your checklist of things to do in the early game. I don't think checking for a pylon back there really that important. So a bit of a strange decision there. But what can you say? We've got the reactor going on to the barracks. Reactor first, followed by a second barracks. All right. This map is nice for mech play. Really nice to just sit in the middle of the map. There's not a lot of area for Protoss to abuse the mobility, but we don't even need to worry about that because McLeod has dropped barracks number 2 and 3.
Yep, number 2 and 3 going down just right next to one another. We do see Hasu, and one of the things you want to make sure you keep an eye on throughout the game is just how much coverage and how much vision he will grant himself. You know, using those pylons as little mini Xel'Naga towers there, he'll spread those out all over. But of course, as a Protoss in the mid to late game, that becomes incredibly beneficial because you have all of these additional reinforcement spots. Now, if he continues on with the exact same strategy, he would have put down the robo facility and the gateway, and that is exactly what you are seeing here right now. So this is an opening that Hasu obviously feels very comfortable with, especially in a versus Terran situation here. We do see a bunker up at the ramp of Baz, and we see a tech lab and another tech lab going down here on these respective barracks.
You know, I think if someone designs a build specifically to deal with HasuObs' PVT after this, it would be pretty easy to do. Any sort of two barracks timing attack, I really strongly feel like it would just crush right through here. He's a little bit late to get that sentry out, and he's only got one out. He always goes observer first, and he's got really slow production, but The problem is he gets that observer into the Terran base, and he's just so smart with his decision making that he decides, you know, I can see what my Terran opponent is making, I can counter it, and he plays the game that way, giving up a bit of an advantage in the early game. So I feel like it's just something that could be so easily blind countered, but it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, you know, it's just the removing, you know, if you let him have a third and a fourth eye in this game, you're obviously going to be fighting an uphill battle. So, you know, I want to see a Terran be very proactive about removing those. And we'll have to see if that actually comes into play at all. We do see a minor push coming out here. Now, the one saving grace here might be the fact that there are several sentries over here for Hasu. The problem is his Nexus is completely naked at this point. Now, it's still undetermined whether or not Baz is going to actually push. He could just apply a little bit of pressure, but if he finds out that there is an unguarded Nexus that he could go in and kill very quickly, and Stim is just finished, which makes you know, the annihilation of said Nexus that much easier, he could throw him off quite a bit here. Now, the Terran has no expansion on the way. We do have an engineering bay going down for upgrades, and you know, I'll be curious to see what the Terran's going to decide to do here.
Yeah, I don't think Baz has any intention of expanding. Okay, actually, the Nexus is canceled, so probably a good decision there. But regardless, Protoss is moving down the ramp. Terran needs to be careful. He's moving through a small choke here. Sentry, force field, and Terran not going to win that battle. Final force field isolating the rest of the Terran army, so Protoss can just cut that in half. Looks like he doesn't want to deal with that small amount of Marines, which he probably could have, but wow, Terran is getting aggressive here. Looks like he poked the bear, and now the Terran bear trying to charge forward. Probably does not want to continue to attack this Protoss. He's got a lot of sentries, but only two force fields available there, but still Terran needs to be careful. He's now got his command center done, so I think this was a timing attack to break the expansion. Protoss HasuObs wisely canceling the expansion, and now that Terran has done what he set out to do, going to expand and transition into mid-game. You've got to give the advantage to Terran here in the early game.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, the big thing about this is that now we don't necessarily have seen that natural progression that Hasu has had in the other games, where he's had the opportunity to just kind of sit back, get his Robo Bay up real quick, decide what tech he wants to go. Now we finally see the Robotics Bay come up. Once he's determined, you know what, it's safe for me to move out here, Nexus goes back down, and the command center is going to morph into orbital here before he actually sets off. But Hasu, with this one zealot over here and this pylon that has been trucking up here for quite a while, he could possibly block that at least for a little bit. He's going to definitely know when it goes down. Now, what do we got coming out? No, the engineering bay was actually... No, it must have been canceled, and he's now going to put it back
was
down.
Canceled.
Okay.
You know what would have been cute is if he warped in a sentry here at this forward pylon and just isolated the ramp. He's pushing 200 gas. He could get 2 sentries, allow his main army to move up, and then he could do the infinite force field. But looks like that's just something for my imagination, because it's clearly not going to happen. The observer coming in to scout. Bunker going up. Terran has decided the waters are safe. Going to float that orbital command over to his natural, and Terran actually has his starport up. He's got his engineering bay. He's got the reactor on the factory going to be swapped around, and this is what we've seen HasuObs do before. He likes just dotting the map with things to give him vision. We can see the pylon going up at 9 o'clock. He's got that pylon, as you mentioned, at the 12 o'clock behind Terran's natural, which obviously going to be killed soon, I've got to imagine. He's got an observer out in the center of the map, as well as an observer in McLeod's main base.
Yeah, he's got some very good vision right now, checking things out, seeing what's going on. We now have some medevacs on their way. We do have a pylon over here also by what would probably be of an eventual expansion here for Hasu, giving him, again, not only some vision. I would probably say that's mostly for drop vision. A lot of medevacs like to take this flight pad over to their opponent's base. And meanwhile, on the production tab, another gateway going down, more probes, and some zealots being pushed out here. So it's more like HasuObs just decided he's got to go ahead and get his second up and running. Looks like Terran wants to move out here. This time they will do it at least with one medevac. And again, I don't know that they necessarily want to fight at this choke, but I don't know that Hasu has all the units that he needs right now in order to be successful.
Yeah, especially he's invested 200 into charge, and he's invested another 200 into this Templar archive. So now Chrono boosting out that charge. It's nowhere near complete, so this actually happens to be a nice timing for Terran, as there's 400 minerals and 400 gas of units missing from the Protoss army. Does he have that extended thermal lance? As I'm looking for the robotics bay, no, and not even on the way. But he smelt this drop, moving a stalker forward. A lot of zealots there as well, but this isolates the Terran. Force fields, he just gets away from that force field blockage. Gonna donate 2 Marauders for, I guess, pay the price for trying to move forward there. But completely blocked. Now Terran is gonna go lick his wounds, move back. Back to his main base. Taking a look at the supplies, we have Protoss at 115, Terran at 110. Harvester count 49 to 46, so all things looking fairly square here.
Yeah, and it looks like Protoss might decide to move forward here. Going to put down a pylon, and we did see those rocks going down. Remember, with all this vision, I mean, look at this. The Terran is parking themselves just underneath an observer, and as long as that observer doesn't move, it's actually in a great spot, hard to see there in that particular area. And so little does he know, he's got eyes on him at all times. Here we go, we've got some High Templars out right now. Bavarian Amulet is out, and it does look like they have some energy. Gonna have some force fields actually work kind of against the Protoss here, but he was trying to just catch a few units here. A lot coming out for the Terran right now, and I think the big no-no that Hasu wants to try to avoid is keeping his opponent away from that third base. We see the engineering bay down in the back. One pylon is warped in, a zealot to take care of that. But an inevitable attack could come in.
Here we go, big Storm on the ball there. Another one coming up. Army moving forward. Storm misses a little bit there, hitting just a bit. Moving forward again, dancing back and forth, taking a lot of damage. Without the benefit of the extended thermal lance, that Colossus isn't as scary as it would be. And extended thermal lance not even being researched. Protoss instead deciding to take his third Nexus. Terran trying to transition into tank support. He's getting that siege mode up. And this Stalker warped in at the back, just going to work on that engineering bay. And unfortunately, Terran unable to hit that Stalker. So that's annoying. A lot of medevacs out, trying to heal up the army. And third command center going down. I've got to say, at this point in the game, the transition to Psionic Storm has been complete. We've got a forge with ground armor actually being researched, and all the Templar archive research has been completed. And look at this, actually a Templar on the high ground at the western Zalmega Tower. And I think with the transition into Templar tech complete, you've got to give the advantage squarely on HasuObs' Protoss shoulders.
Yeah, and you know what? This is exactly the same kind of strat he used on his previous opponent on, I believe, was it? No, it's Lost Temple, excuse me, where he put the guy up near the Zelnok Towers. Now, hold on, we have the Terran forces moving forward. Too bad he's not on the other side. Now, the Vikings are out. They will give some vision, and he is going to get a storm off on the Vikings, but all that is going to do is hold them back, and oh my god, he loses all of his Vikings right there, and that could be a small window of opportunity, but he's got to be careful about those siege tanks now. He wants to try to fight this Terran army when they are actually unsieged and out of position, moving forward and getting that damage done. There's not a whole lot of siege tanks, and here they go, moving forward, going to try to snipe at least one of these siege tanks. Storm's going down, some force fields to split up these armies, and those zealots will charge in. Now that the armies have been split apart, he is doing a good job managing the damage that's being done, but I guess the Terran just having too much. He's going to use that army split to his advantage, rolls into the third, but look at those great storms. Zealots going to finish those off, and that army is completely devastated by the Protoss.
You know, what seemed like a good idea suddenly became a terrible idea with those Templar being warped in and the Zealots with charge. Protoss now has regained control of his third base. Meanwhile, Terran floating that command center over to his gold base, so it looks like he's going to take more of a defensive posture here. He's got to get a few more siege tanks out to defend his position, as it looks like Protoss is knocking on his third base door yet again.
Yeah, and he's going to see this finish right here. Viking extending himself out just a little bit. Small force going to move forward, going to stim. Not a good idea. They need the numbers right now, doing a little bit of damage. Now, does this observer see the third? Yes, he does. He's actually going to, oh, he landed too close. So the observer actually, because he landed wrong, knows that that is there if he happened to be looking at it at that time. They're going to step forward, try to take out that Archon. Great storm being put in behind, and then a surround on the units. He's going to warp up a High Templar as well.
Blink.
Yeah, he's got some great control, and I think he's actually got the Terran on his toes.
Yeah, we've got Terran vehicle weapons on the way, and I think a transition out of mech, or excuse me, into mech, or a few more siege tanks here would be prudent. We've got a High Templar on the low ground storming, getting only one SCV, but that's set up for another storm coming up later. The Planetary Fortress has completed. A little bit of Marauder dancing going back and forth, kiting those units. Storm going off on the Marauders. Blinking forward are the Stalkers to deal with that with the Planetary Fortress. There yet again, he's gonna have full control of that. Another High Templar sitting, just waiting for the SCVs to come back, and looks like they're gonna do exactly that. Taking a look at this High Templar, it's got energy. He's waiting for the SCVs to come in. Meanwhile, battle on the eastern side. A lot of force fields going down, isolating a lot of Marauders, and a large majority of the Terran units isolated there and taken out by the Protoss army. Meanwhile, moving forward with the Archon and storming the SCVs. The Planetary Fortress under siege. A lot of SCVs lost there, bringing up the Harvester count. Not that big of a disparity. 70 Harvesters for Protoss, 63 for Terran. Another battle going on. Storm's taking out a few Marauders there. Single Viking in the mix. Not sure what he's there for, but hey, it's always nice to have planes in the sky.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, the problem here is that Protoss is losing far less units than his opponent. These storms incredibly effective, along with these blinks, some good blinks into the inside range of the siege tanks. He'll now move forward, finish off 1, 2, and a third one as well. The Planetary Fortress will do damage to these units that are moving forward, but the Protoss may have finally broken through, and if he does manage to take out that Planetary Fortress, it would be GG, but he's going to go ahead and move forward. Siege tank all out on its own, but he will not attack it quite yet. I think he could roll in and do some major damage to the production facilities, and here he will move forward. This could be
yet again, Templar, just as the mainerding SCVs came in. Oh my god, so many units lost at the gold base for Terran. Meanwhile, Protoss decides, well, I've dealt with all those SCVs, I'm just going to move right near natural. And McLeod left with no other options than to tap GG. Decisive win by HasuObs.
I thought that was pretty, I mean, well, you talk about the Terran attack at the beginning. You know, again, good decision making, and how much of the game is, making proper decisions here in StarCraft 2? Well, the answer is loads of it. And there were some great decisions. You know, we saw the decision to go early aggression by the Terran. Of course, we had the naked Nexus that was wisely canceled by HasuObs. And although he didn't quite have the exact same tempo that we had seen in some of the previous games, where he liked to go get that robo facility, get down the robo bay, and then usually branching out another tech direction at well, he was forced to kind of sit. I think he only made 1 or maybe 2 Colossus the whole game. And that was it. Then once he got to his Templar tech, it was game over. His combination of storms and then blink surrounds are really phenomenal. In a couple of cases, he actually trapped his opponent in those storms because of those awesome blinks.